different than my first album, The Eargasm, because I wrote it as a touring artist. I wrote and recorded it in between my first 2 tours, and literally talking about, you know, what helps post-tour depression. This album saved my life. I was in such a bad place and so unhappy after my first 2 tours that getting that creative momentum back up and recording this album was just so important for my own sanity. Thank God for my most recent tour partner, Avia, who did most of the work, because I was just so knee-deep in getting the album together that I really didn't even have that much time to like mentally or emotionally prepare for this tour. I just kind of went. But there's really nothing better, no better way of spreading the word about your art than being on tour. So I don't regret doing that. It's just kind of tricky to wear that many hats at once. I cannot express how many hours go into it, especially when you're just starting from scratch. I mean, I have a spreadsheet. I have basically a database of like literally thousands of venues that I've done the research on my own. It goes by a lot faster now that I already have that established. But just the countless hours of reaching out to people, not getting responses back, it's not easy on the ego. It feels depressing sometimes because you could spend 5 hours in front of a computer and nothing happens. And keeping that momentum going is really tricky, and it's just really time consuming. I mean, that's something that people really don't realize how time consuming it is. Meeting other artists is my favorite part of touring. You know, we get the privilege of every night meeting different artists in new cities and getting to see how they put their sets together and how they live as artists and that sort of thing. One is just watching the way you treat people. It's not like I didn't already know this, but the way that you treat everyone is so important. You never know who it is. And I believe in karma. I believe in good tour karma. I try to make it a point to go out of my way to be nice to everyone, down to, you know, the door person, to the dishwasher, to just the random people there. You never know who's going to continue to follow your career after you leave that town. And a lot of times I've met other artists at shows who have hooked up better shows the next time I come to that city. So staying in touch with people and treating them well and making a good impression is totally crucial. Another thing is not burning yourself out. I mean, this all kind of seems like common sense, but it's a marathon, and not getting so wasted the first 3 nights that you feel like shit for the whole rest of the tour. Any of my tour partners will tell you, if I'm not at the wheel, I'm probably sleeping, because any little amount of rest I can get in between is going to probably save my life for the show that night. It's definitely after any kind of big project. I would imagine the same is true for like PhD students and that sort of thing, where you're done and you just don't know what the hell to do with yourself, and you're so exhausted that you can't really think clearly either. So it's just like you just kind of wallow in your own shit for a while. What I tend to do, my pattern is I always want to get back into the studio and I always want to write, and I go through this like amazing creative surge, which is great. But the unfortunate reality also is that, you know, for an indie artist coming back from tour, you're usually broke. And in the case of my most recent tour, I had to go back to work the day after I got back, and there was no resting. So I think just doing little things like maybe treating yourself to a massage, or, you know, giving yourself a day to just stay in bed, and just little things like that that are more realistic are really crucial.